Hey guys, my name's Oliver Shillito, and I'm here today with Antelope Audio to talk about the Orion32 Gen 4 and how I'm utilising not one, but two of them in my setup to give me flexibility, I/O, and future expansion capability. But I've also got some back racks over there, and the back racks have a bunch more gear in them. Now, a lot of people in my situation might go for something like the Galaxy 64, which has 64 I/O in one 2U device, but to me that wasn't really a great option because I'm not using a console or anything like that, and I have gear spread out, so if I was going to have 64 I/O in one device, that would require a bunch of thick multi-core cables going down the other side of the room. This would be messy, unsightly to be honest, unless I was going to hack away the drywall and hide the cabling in the drywall, which is obviously not an option for me, right? So I got to talking with Antelope, and they said, you know, you can expand this setup by stacking and cascading multiple Orions, and I thought, So the way I've done this is by having a second Gen 4 in the back rack, and this is connected via MADI. Now this is the important thing, because this means I have 32 I/O on the first Antelope, and I have 32 I/O on the second Antelope, and the only thing connecting them together is a tiny fibre optic cable which I've managed to hide underneath the carpet, so you can't even tell they're connected at all. Now this offers a host of benefits. It means that when I go into the studio, not only does this setup work for me in my current iteration, but when I move into the studio, I've got expandability in terms of adding preamps, more outboard gear. Not only that, it means that I can have some of the gear, again, in a back rack behind me, and some of it in the actual desk, without having to run all these multi-core cables. So the MADI solution is really good. It operates completely seamlessly, it's completely clean, and it's, up to like 192K. Not that I would ever really go that high, but I commonly work in 48, and at 48, even at 96, no problems whatsoever. So let me talk you through the gear that I've got and what it is that I'm using and where. So as you can see on the desk, first of all, I've got the first Antelope, and below that is a Smart Research C2, and then we've got an Art Pro VLA, an Audioscape 260VU, Line 6 Echo Pro, and then the Amphion amp. I'm using a pair of Amphion 118s. On the second side of the rack, we have an Art Pro VLA 2, we also have a DBX 160A, a TT Electronic Finalizer, and a Clark Technic Dimension D or a BBD 320, as well as a Warm Audio Tone Beast preamp, which, let's be honest, I don't use very often, but it's nice to have, because in this studio, I don't record people here. However, occasionally I do need to do some pickup vocal sessions or record some guitar DIs or something of that nature, so it's always handy to have a preamp available in case I need it, because that is one thing to bear in mind. The Orion doesn't come with any preamps, it's purely line in, line out, so if you are going to use it for recording, you're going to need some external preamps. If we look over at the back rack, I have an API lunchbox, which includes an SPL Big, a singular audio tube drive, two Audioscape V3As, which are LA3As, and a pair of DIY RE colour palettes. They include tape saturation, console colour, that kind of thing. I've also got a pair of Black Lion Audio Blueies and a Zoom Studio Reverb. On the other side, there is a pair of Audioscape Pultecs, as well as the Behringer 369KT, or a 33609 basically. So as you can see in this mix studio, I'm pretty well equipped for outboard effects, compression, that kind of thing, and this is ever expanding, let's be honest. The gear hunt is never over. Hopefully one day I can get a Fairchild, but that remains to be seen. So how do I set these units up? Well, I suggest we jump into Pro Tools and let me show you. So here we are in the Antelope software, and as you can see, we have all the I/O available. Now, one first thing to note about the new version of the software is that anything that you're not using can actually be hidden just by clicking on these buttons here, which is really handy. Now, as you can see, line in 1 to 32, and you've got door out 1 to 32. This represents the first Antelope. So the door out is what is coming out of Pro Tools. And as you can see, if you want to route that, you drag that to your line out. And from there, you've then got door out going to line out. 33 to 64, I am routing those to the MADI out. So the MADI out 1 to 32. This is feeding the second Antelope. Now, all you need to do to configure this is to go into the second Antelope by plugging it in via USB and unplugging the first one. This will bring up the view for your second Antelope. And then you take the MADI in to line out and the line in to MADI out. That unit can then be disconnected, and essentially it'll work as a dummy AD converter, taking the signal from MADI, sending it to the line out, from the line in, sending it back down the MADI. You can then configure the rest of it in this main window with your first and primary Antelope connected. So I then take the MADI in, which is coming back from this device, and that goes to the door in 33 to 64. It's really that simple. So I now have line in, line out from the first device, and line in, line out from the second device over MADI, all coming into this one window. Now, if I wanted to route things in a different way, I could quite easily do that by selecting any of the available door outs, or indeed line outs, line ins, and dragging them wherever I wanted them to go. I could put them anywhere. So that's what I mean about this having a full routing solution built into it. It's quite easy to just pull stuff around and have a look. You can make anything go anywhere. That's how I have this set up. It's basic, it's simple, and in my workflow, that works perfectly. Your mileage may vary, but as I say, you have unlimited flexibility with this solution. Let's jump into Pro Tools and have a look at how it works in real time in the DAW. So I've got a track here called Pitch Black by the artist Cluse. First of all, if we look at the I/O window, you can see in input I've got 64 ins and output 64 outs. The monitors are currently set to 63 and 64. If you look at hardware inserts, you can see all the devices that I spoke of earlier are all here with their associated inputs and outputs. So as you can see, the first set of devices that are in the desk here, they are up to 16, which still means I've got another 16 I could use from the first Antelope. And if you see the second set here, those starting at 33 are in the second Antelope. So there is another 16 available there as well, should I need them. So technically, there's a whole other Antelope's worth of I/O between the two I could still use, if you want to look at it that way. So if we close that, let's have a listen to the mix. So if you look at the bus here, we've got the C2, the Pultex, the DRREs and the SPL Big. The Echo Pro, the Dimension D, we're using the Blueies, the LA3As, and it really is as simple as utilising it as a plugin. I just go to I/O, I have a look for the Bluey, where are you? The Bluey, bam, simple as that. One thing to note though, I'm using Pro Tools Native, and with Pro Tools Native, you are going to need to time the delay. In the I/O window, you'll see hardware insert delay. Now, I've already done this, and if you need a tutorial on how to measure the delay in Pro Tools, flip over to my YouTube channel, and there's a video there which details exactly how to measure the delay. But once you've set this up, it's completely seamless. Now, if you're using Logic, you have a ping option on the I/O plugin in there, and this will do it for you. And again, if you're using Pro Tools HDX, there's no issue there, that automatically delay compensates, but unfortunately for us Pro Tools native guys, that is not the case. After the manual delay compensation's been done, you don't have any phase issues, you don't have any issues whatsoever. On this channel here, which is the parallel drum compression, I'm using the soft tube FET compressor. What happens if I wanted to use a 33609 there? That's cool, let's do that. Let's flip over now and see how this looks in a rock mix. Alright, so here's a session called Feels Like Yesterday by the band Rosellas. This is an indie rock song. As you can see, parallel compression, I've got the 33609. I'm using the Zoom Studio as a snare reverb. I've got the 260 going on kick and snare. There's a Pro VLA on overheads, pair of 3As on the acoustic guitars. We've got the Blueies on vocals, Echo Pros in there. Full works. Let's take a listen.
Are flying round in your head. It's no secret that you've been here before.
One of the other benefits of the Antelope software is you have the routing matrix. Now, I had 3 patch bays, which allowed me to chain bits of gear and, chop and change where I needed to. But since I've got so much I/O now that's super clean, in fact, I've got rid of the patch bays. I don't need to use them at all. Because not only is everything hard patched and it can be used in Pro Tools as a hardware insert, but if I really need to, I can actually use Antelope's routing matrix, which basically works like a digital patch bay. Now, for the price Antelope are charging for this device, I would absolutely defy anybody to find a better offering on the market than this. Fantastic sounding in every aspect, multiple I/O. You've got 32 I/O of analog, you've got MADI, you've got SPDIF, the options just go on and on. 128 available I/O when you stack multiple devices together. At the end of the day, you can do a lot with this system. Included with the matrix, the routing matrix, it's super flexible. You can run digital gear, analog gear, anything in between. For me, I'm quite a simple guy and I like things to just work the way I want them to work. And that for me is one of the main benefits. This system just works. I open up Pro Tools, I flip from one session to another session. Everything's there, everything works, I never have a problem with it. I work on a lot of material on a week-to-week basis. I do a lot of mastering, and I've mastered things for, Disney, the Grammy Awards, all kinds of high-budget things have come through this room. As well as working in a studio with rock bands, alternative bands, hip-hop artists, dance artists, everything. They never let me down. Ever. It's a system that I can rely on, and that to me is the really important thing. I can rely on this system. I don't use necessarily the full flexibility that is offered, and I think that's a major benefit, because for those of you out there that like things to be simple and out of the way, the Antelope will do that. For those of you want to go deep into routing and flexibility and I/O options, the Antelope will also do that. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and I hope you've gained some insight into how you can cascade multiple Antelope Orions to maybe give yourself a bit more flexibility in your workflow. Keep your eye out for more videos coming from me and follow my journey with Antelope Audio as I move into the new studio. Once again, thanks a lot for watching and take care.